Well, Elon Musk folds. I regret some of my posts about my ex-boyfriend real Donald Trump last week. They went too far. So we had Taco Trump and now we have Eco Elon. Elon chickens out. Can't believe Elon and Trump broke up during Pride Month. We are still under the 6-month mark for a couple of weeks, and it's incredibly difficult to see how this is sustainable for 3.5 more years. Holy hell! Look at what's happening in LA. Someone call the National Guard. Oh, wait, that's Jan 6th. My bad, carry on. Just to look at the resources they're willing to commit to terrorize people, but not to feed or house people, tells you a lot about Republicans' priorities. Sounds a bit familiar. A president of the United States is going to theatre tonight in the midst of what is shaping up to be a civil war. I will have no further comment at this time. Is he going to be seated in the balcony? Or maybe he can find a booth? Who knows? If undocumented immigrants are lazy freeloaders, then why are the ICE raids happening at their jobs, using employment data that they got from the tax payments they made to the IRS? I don't think science could solve that. Not shown here, the National Guard. The Elon Musk versus Stephen Miller feud just went nuclear. We will take back America, just like I took your wife. And this post has been deleted. So much for being loyal and trustworthy. You can't even be loyal and trustworthy to your fellow scumbags. Mike Johnson is warning the country that if Democrats take back the House in the midterms, then Trump's presidency will effectively end after only 2 years. Oh no. Honey, stop threatening me with a good time, Mike. Same, like this can all go away if we turn out? I was listening to something, and while it's unfortunate we've lost what we thought was the advantage during general elections, our current demographics turnout is better than Republicans during midterms. If they decide for some reason to continue letting us have elections, the results won't be those reported. We are past that point, folks. To those who feel otherwise, please show me the last overtly fascist government, and I hope at the very least we're past pretending this is otherwise, that passively allowed itself to be ousted by the ballot box. Yeah, but without Elon, they won't be able to change the down ballot votes with satellites or whatever the fuck. Reporter, so when was the last time you spoke with Gavin Newsom? A day ago, called him to tell him he's got to do a better job. He's doing a horrible job, the worst job in fact. About that, there was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines onto our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to. Imagine if we had a media that called out Republicans and Trump for lying. Trump could literally say, "I want you to arrest Gavin Newsom right this second," on live television, and the very next minute say, I never said that, and the media would not flinch. He already did call for his arrest. For, and I quote, "the crime of running for governor." Cause damn, that's the biggest crime out there. You should get 30-something felonies for that. Trump, who recently paid Ashley Babbitt's family $5 million and has floated the idea of reparations for Jan 6th rioters, calls the protesters in Los Angeles paid insurrectionists. What's the line, folks? Every accusation is an admission. So, what crimes has Governor Gavin Newsom committed? I think his primary crime is running for mayor because he's done such a bad job. I hate to break to you, but being incompetent in office isn't a crime. If it was, you'd have been locked up after your first term. But speaking of not so incompetent leaders, Gavin Newsom the past couple of days has been on fire on Twitter. Just in, Senator Tommy Tumbleweed calls for Governor Gavin Newsom to be arrested. Lock him up. Alabama has 3 times the homicide rate of California. Its murder rate is ranked 3rd in the entire country. Stick to football, bro. If you guys enjoy this gay guy reading stuff, you should totally subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, check out the join button if you want early access to some of my videos. But anyway, back to the video. Newsom. I told the president, just get it over with. Arrest me, move on. If you need someone's head to scalp, then do it with me. But stop messing with these kids. Stop messing with 4-year-olds, kids in elementary school. That's a fucking stellar line. Especially considering nothing pisses Shitler off more than people who aren't afraid and just laugh at him. Yep, Gavin has never been afraid of him as much as Trump wants so deeply to be a badass. The body language in the below picture is so loud. Only one of them is calm, the other is trying to be a centaur. How can Newsom be so badass and just such an asshole at the same time? He's basically American Emmanuel Macron in my opinion. Good analogy. I'm no fan of Macron, but he's still far better than the alternative. Exactly. We will get him for a presidential nominee now. Not my most favourite guy, but he's done alright enough to keep everyone happy. I think he understands that if we have a democracy in 4 years, I told Trump to lick my nuts is a great campaign to run. Is hard because 1 week you're like, I will destroy that sadistic devil, may he be tortured for 10,000 years. And then the next week you're like, yes, go on my sadistic devil, torture them for 10,000 years and I will win you the throne of hell. Oh, so real. He may be a sadistic devil, but he's a sadistic devil. For years, I've always been saying, I love what he does, or I hate what he does. There's no middle ground. On one end, I love that he's really pushing to get the high-speed rail going before he leaves office. On the other hand, he's constantly doing some conservative shit, like how he's been handling homeless encampments or having right-wingers on his podcast. Exactly. He's been doing that dance since he was mayor of SF. Yay gay marriage, but God, you're so annoying. I do think he saved tens of thousands of Californians in early COVID, and I'll always thank him for that. I can relate. We feel this way in Portland about whoever is the mayor at the time. We constantly hate the mayor and want to annoy them as much as possible. But if anyone from the outside of Portland says anything against the mayor, we ride at dawn. Trump threatens to use heavy force against anyone who protests his military parade this weekend. And note that he makes no exception for peaceful protesters. Yeah, the First Amendment specifically prohibits the government from using heavy force on citizens who protest the government. But the Constitution doesn't matter anymore because Donald Trump's in. When people protest, be sure to carry American flags with you, along with your protest signs. The optics of any military firing on the American flag will be very bad. I mean, to be fair, they've made it quite prevalent that they're inherently anti-American. They do have a point. Bring your American flags. We are American. The DACA recipients are American. The undocumented people who've been working here for years are American. They are literally fighting tooth and nail for the American dream. It's quite frustrating how the US flag is co-opted by the right, to be honest. I hate that they think they're the only patriots. The brainwashing is fucking staggering. As a non-American, whenever I hear the word patriot, I just think of a racist hillbilly complaining that some other person has the gall to exist. You actually have to care about how you present your movement to the public, guys. I mean, famously, Martin Luther King Jr. was hated by most white Americans at the end of his life, and was assassinated by a white supremacist, despite wearing a suit and tie. And I mean, hey, let's be entirely honest, the fit goes hard. Martin Luther King also noted that non-violent protest only works with the implied threat of violence. Being non-violent in the face of violence is admirable, but without that threat of escalation, it can largely be ignored. You can't have an MLK without a Malcolm X. And even Malcolm X wasn't outright calling for violence. Certainly not instigating it. More so was just saying if an oppressor threatens my life, I have a right and obligation to threaten theirs right the fuck back. Which he was absolutely right in saying. Because I mean, to be fair, it's just self-defense at that point. You can't expect the oppressed to be perfect victims. It's dehumanizing and ridiculous to expect people just to accept being beaten over the head over and over with no consequences for the attacker. This is not a call for violence, but merely context to explain why violence occurs in the world. People all have their breaking points and you can't just push them around forever. Oh look, hey, finally, something we can actually agree on. We've been saying for years, this is a fight to save civilization. Anyone with eyes can see that now. Oh, it's a fight to save civilization, Stephen. Just not the fight you think it is. A good time to remember that Miller's dorm mates once suggested getting a birthday present for the janitor that cleaned their dorm. He was so upset about this idea that he wrote an op-ed about it, suggesting that they were only doing this out of a misplaced sense of guilt and sense of debt to the janitor. Again, people he knew wanted to do something nice for someone, and Miller got pissed off and wrote an op-ed about how everyone is crazy since the janitor is already compensated with pay. This is the man that wants to lecture us about society and civilization. Yeah, I haven't heard much about this Miller fuckface, until about a week ago. But everything I hear about him indicates sharply that he is a soulless ghoul. Breaking news, federal agents in plain clothes and unmarked cars try to snatch first graders from LA elementary schools. Told staff that they had parental consent. They lied. When pressed, they hid their IDs. DHS admits they sent them. This was not a welfare check, it was a test run for a police stain. They do shit like this in LA and wonder why there's more escalation? That on top of the National Guard and Marines? LAPD should have arrested them. They were engaged in kidnapping and lied about parental consent to a mandatory reporter. Lock them up. But they're too busy arresting journalists. Correction, they're too busy shooting journalists. The terrifying part is the spot where that police officer was standing and shot her with a rubber bullet is now being occupied by Trapper 19 from Polk County, Arkansas, holding an M16 and being told he is there to liberate LA from its oppressive people. If your name is Trapper and you aren't a douche canoe, I apologize for using your name in my example. If you're from Polk County, I do not apologize for calling your county out specifically. You know it's fair. Breaking news! Susan Collins is concerned. Susan Collins on RFK Jr.'s move. It was unprecedented to replace all of the members of these very important advisory committees. The secretary certainly has the authority to replace some people, put on others, but to fire all the members concerns me. I do not believe that Brett Kavanaugh will overturn Roe v. Wade. Fuck Susan Collins. Well, aged like milk. Our favourite pearl clutcher. Trump learned his lesson from his first impeachment. It's okay. And she will do precisely what? Remain concerned? So helpful. Well, this is what it looks like without a United States Congress. Seriously though, where the fuck are my representatives right now? It's you. You are the representative. The ones you speak of are representing themselves. No one is coming to save us. Get up. The revolution is now. Yeah, this is unfortunately it. If you want tactical teams to stop coming into your city, to stick up businesses and Black Hood fathers and honours students who speak out against them, then you have to be the one to stop them. Nobody else is giving any indication that they will. New rules, by the way. Only bootlickers can attend the protest parade. Per a reporter, those who disagree with POTUS were told that they could ask to be excused. 12:15. Everyone must be seated in the bleachers. Notes: soldiers sitting in the bleachers are to be fit and not look fat. Soldiers in the bleachers will not be allowed to have water, so they must make sure they hydrate completely prior. No color patches. If any soldiers have political views that are in opposition to the current regime, and they do not want to be in the audience, then they need to speak with their leadership and get swapped out. Basically, from that, they don't want soldiers in the audience rolling their eyes or shaking their head in disagreement, etc. Oh, so we're just like taking it straight out of the North Korea playbook. How long is it going to be until when Trump walks in a room, everyone claps like Wii Sports characters? Trump refused to send National Guard to save the Capitol, yet now he sends it to California. On January 6th, we begged the President of the United States to send in the National Guard. He would not do it, and yet, in a contra-constitutional way, he has sent the National Guard into California. Something is very wrong with this picture. Go look at the conservative sub. They literally believe Nancy refused Trump's help. Up is down, left is right, red is blue, day is 9. And when you try to ask why Trump supposedly didn't have the power to send the National Guard on Jan 6th but can suddenly in LA, it either breaks their brain and they go quiet, or they just circle back to Nancy. Fucking mouth breathers don't deserve the air they breathe. Nah, they just ban you from their communities now. Well, some of them knows, but aren't exactly arguing in good faith. They are fucking fascists after all. I have had them seriously argue that the fucking Secretary of State can refuse orders directly from the Commander-in-Chief. The chain of command magically doesn't exist when it's inconvenient? Right. There are more of us than there are of them. Not gonna lie, this map of scheduled protests this weekend is wild. I'm guessing those are the No Kings protests scheduled for Saturday the 14th, which is Trump's birthday. He's having the first dictator-style military parade in the history of the United States. And the people of the United States are showing their opposition across the country. Yo, AOC, shout out to AOC. They are like the solid top 3 US politicians right now. I will be damned if I allow a bunch of Confederate-waving Jan 6th apologists give the American people a lecture on flag waving. There is zero reason to enter an argument about patriotism with people who still worship traitors to America 150 plus years later. They are breaking the law. Very much foul. Taco. Well, the foul administration. 1. Human threatened to arrest Newsom. Newsom challenged Human to do it. And lastly, Human backed down. Taco Tom. What the government tells us we can afford says a lot about their priorities. If you're keeping tabs, Trump's one-day small-in-the-pants parade is going to cost nearly $100 million, and his unconstitutional dictator cosplay deployment to LA is going to cost another $134 million. But we can afford healthcare for our veterans, food assistance, or kids' cancer research. So Americans can't afford free healthcare, but they can spend a couple $100 billion extra on defense. And hey, let's have a look at that $134 million deployment. Donald Trump's forcing US troops to sleep on the ground in the scorching heat in LA, since he made zero arrangements to house or feed them and only wanted to use them as props for his fascist porn and political manipulation. MAGA will say, I voted for this, cause all they voted for was fascism against people they don't like. Arrest the people in the face masks right now. Hey Donald Pump, how about you start with them? So, I have to ask, instead of going to schools and Home Depot, why aren't these guys not going to actual dangerous neighborhoods? You know, where the actual criminals live? To MS-13 clubhouses, or anywhere these illegal criminals are known to be at? It's probably because they're a bunch of massive pussies, but that's just a hunch. Cartoon by Adam Zeigler. Tear Gaslighting. A Field Guide to Civil Unrest, 2nd edition. Peaceful protesters. And then violent insurrectionists. White House assesses ways to persuade women to have more children. You mean the possibility of raising their children under a military dictatorship isn't doing it? Nothing has changed in this meme since it was first created. LAPD out there like... This meme is everywhere. Let's be kinder to each other. Making fun of an almost 80-year-old falling on the stairs has no place in our politics. Oh, does it now? Does it really? Oh, wow. This is what an average family looks like in communist Czechoslovakia circa 1975.